The girl bites through her climbing bag and slowly pulls out the thin wire from the gap, straightens it and then bends the end of the wire. Then slowly moves her trembling feet to lie on the 90-degree vertical cliff in a very funny position. Then she stretched out the thin wire and tried to hook the climbing rope 2 meters away. At this point, the girl in the abyss was walking on thin ice if she moved a little, but her efforts were not in vain. The end of the wire was finally hooked to the rope, but she didn't take it lightly. She was still careful to shrink the wire in her hand. 2.5 minutes pass and the girl finally grabs hold of a corner of the rope. But this is only the first step towards survival. Once she's got a firm grip on the rope, which is fixed to the cliff, she begins to swing her body in a methodical way. The girl wants to use her inertia to throw herself over the bulge on the other side of the cliff. She succeeds, but the danger remains. Looking at the endless ground and the tents left behind by her predecessors, she had an idea. Then, using the climbing skills she had learned, the girl began to approach the tent hanging in the air step by step. At this time she was like an animal that had not completely degenerated, and then she finally landed on a large raised rock with the strength of her limbs. But at that moment, the 3 murderers were already above her and began to look for the girl hanging on the cliff, although covered by the boulder. The men immediately realized that the girl was hiding underneath them after calculating the time. Knowing that she had been exposed, the girl had no intention of climbing further up the cliff. However, the man above still chattering that as long as she handed over the evidence of the 3 murderers, the girl will be given a way out of life, said the man led his companions to hand over a rope and then threw it down. But the girl is not a fool to understand that with their ferocious character, once the camera is handed over, he will be really not far away from death. After thinking long and hard, the girl hung a piece of white paper on top of the rope. Seeing the movement below, the 3 thought she compromised, immediately pulled the rope up. When they saw the end of the white paper, the man subconsciously picked it up, but on it was written a greeting to his mother. Hearing the man's anger, the girl unconsciously turned her mouth, and then began to observe the surrounding environment. She was ready to set up a home in the same place. Then she fastened the clasps to the crevices in the rocks above her head, and with all her strength she raised the abandoned tent and attached it to the ground. As the night wore on, a simple tent in mid-air was completed. Bravely, the girl was ready to get in and try it out, but fortunately there were no accidents. However, just when he thought he could sleep well, the 3 murderers above him wanted to make trouble. 2 men worked together to lift a 200-pound backpack and throw it off a 10,000-foot cliff in one fell swoop. With a loud bang, a girl was smashed out of the tent and her body was suspended in mid-air. But before the girl could stabilize her body, the backpack with the stones came at her again, and she could only hold it firmly in her arms when she was caught off guard. But with the rapid contraction of the rope, the man above her realized that he had a chance, so he hurriedly asked his companion to let go of the rope. Seeing that the girl fell into his own trap, the man immediately drew his dagger and split the rope in 2. Luckily, the girl below the cliff reacted quickly and grabbed a raised rock. Look at the backpack fell into the bottomless cliff. Girl heart a moment of fear and then did not dare to delay. The hands instantly forced back to the protruding boulder above again. After calming down, she recalled the scene that had just happened and felt a cold sweat on her back. At this moment, the girl finally knew what it was like to cross the threshold of the ghost with 1 foot. Seeing this situation, the man above sighed, but from his expression you can tell that this matter is definitely not over. Sure enough, in the middle of the night, the girl was half awake, half asleep, and was startled by a short knife thrust into the tent, and was stabbed in the thigh when she wasn't paying attention. As the tent was destroyed, the man appeared in front of the girl's eyes and grabbed her by the hair and pulled her out, and the next moment he was about to push her off the cliff. The man wanted to ask where the camera was, but in a moment of panic, the girl reached for her hidden weapon and stabbed the man in the back, then kicked him in the chest. She was about to cut the rope holding the man up when he pulled her out of the tent. Luckily, the girl grabbed the man's clothes in the nick of time, so she didn't fall. As the 2 companions continued to force, the man was quickly pulled up. Seeing this, a big man directly grabbed the girl behind the hair, no matter how much she struggled, but could not get rid of each other's control.